All right, we are live. This is so exciting. It is our first live for Virtual Antics. I have had so many people contact me wanting to see us live. And so I decided to bring on my friend Nick here to kind of help us out and kind of be our first guest on Virtual Antics going live. So it's so excited. So thanks all for tuning in. So a little bit about Nick. Nick has lived an inspiring rags to riches story. He started his life by being raised by a single grandmother in a small city in India, and he graduated at the top of his class from Harvard Business School. Along the way, Nick has worked at some of the top investing firms in the world, such as Bain Capital and Greenlight, and he has led dramatic business transformations in three entirely different industries: trucking, men's shoes, and now B2B software. Welcome back. How you doing today?
Thank you so much for having me, Adelie. I'm doing great. Thank you.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here, especially because I heard that you're an expert at marketing and team management, which is like two of my top lists in my businesses right now. And so I'm so happy to kind of get to hear about your story and also what led you to these two really important factors in business.
Perfect. No, glad to talk about it. Let me know how I can be helpful to you.
Awesome. So let's get into it. Can you tell us a little bit? I know we just heard in your bio a little bit about you, but can you tell us how you kind of decided on the business route and how you got into business management?
Sure. So I've always known since I was a young kid that I wanted to do something kind of quantitative, and I was an extrovert. I wanted to be around people. Initially, that started off with a career in investing, and then I realized, hey, it's really fun investing in companies, but wouldn't it be more fun to go actually run a company? And so about 5 or 6 years ago, I got a random call from an investment firm that said, hey, do you want to come co-run $100 million revenue trucking company? And when you get that once in a lifetime call, you're in your late 20s, that's such a tremendous career opportunity. You don't say no to that. So I got that call and said, that was the first day I was off to the races. For the last 5 or 6 years, I have co-run multiple different companies. And it is phenomenal. It's fun to go out there, build a product, keep people employed, create value for your customers. And I love it.
I know running a business is so much fun. And do you ever feel like I've met a lot of entrepreneurs, I feel like in my journey as an entrepreneur, and all of us kind of like having this addiction to running businesses. So we'll start one and then we have to start like multiple others. I think I'm up to 3 right now running currently. Do you ever get like that?
So I've never really started a business, so I don't think I have the entrepreneurial bug per se, but I would love the idea of after we, take IdeaScale to the next level to go take whatever that next opportunity is and continue to do it. Or conversely, IdeaScale has so many new frontiers that we could tap to hit those frontiers as well.
Yeah, it's just so much fun. And I love like testing different industries and it's kind of cool because I feel like at the same time, like even these businesses are in different industries, the core is kind of like run the same. You still have your sales, you have your marketing, you have your operations, and so just kind of getting how to see they play in different industries has been like really interesting to me. I have a client that has like 7 businesses right now. So I'm like, we need to slow down sometimes because it's so much fun and we get kind of addicted to it. But we also have to focus on what we're running currently as well.
Now, the point you made about a business is still a business. They all have an HR function, a marketing function, a sales function. Somebody once asked me why I've been able to have such an impact on different industries, and that's actually the exact answer I gave. That at the end of the day, every business has the same 5 or 6 core functions, and it is creating value for its customers, employees. If you understand the mechanism of how it creates value in delivering its services or product, and you understand the various functions of a business, or at least can delegate that to people who can, you're going to be very successful in almost any business, regardless of whether it's trucking, software, women's hats, whatever it is.
Oh, 100%. And now you are currently focused on IdeaScale and you're CEO of that. So can you tell me a little bit more about that business and what you're doing with IdeaScale? Because I really love the name.
Sure. So IdeaScale is a software business that's been around about 15 years. We make what's called innovation management software. And what our software does is for large organizations, think like NASA or Transportation Safety Authority, the people who check on security at airplanes, Pfizer, the big pharmaceutical company. these large complex organizations are really good at doing one thing well and doing it repeatedly. But when it comes time to change or innovate and develop a new product or become more efficient, they really struggle at that because they're like big moving ships that are hard to turn. Our software really helps these large complex organizations innovate faster, better, and more systematically. And we're proud to have been doing it for 15 years now. We are in 7 countries with, our client list are all kind of A-list names, which we're proud to have.
Oh, that's awesome. And so that is really cool. And I love that how you said that, you try to scale them, as fast as possible. Because that's kind of like, I feel like the name of the game is like the faster you're able to scale, obviously, the more successful you'll be. And I feel like that's why a lot of times newer businesses, they struggle is because they're trying to, they're trying to scale, but there's always, your downs are longer because you're not scaling as fast because you don't have the means to do so or the experience as well. So do you think that when you do scale a business fast, and on a wider range, do you feel like that they experience like the downs as hard, or do you think they're able to come back from those like downs quicker?
So I can't speak for my clients, but I can say kind of in what we do is help these businesses innovate faster. And there's a lot of research out there that if an organization is more quickly able to adapt and innovate to changing circumstances, either external or internal, then it is less likely to suffer in downturns and rebound more in upturns. In fact, I think there was a great, I think it was a Harvard Business Review article on this about a year and a half ago, that more innovative businesses do better during downturns and better during upturns, which is, a phenomenal statistic to see.
That's awesome. That's really interesting to think about. Now, you grew up in India, and so how did you where's the jump from India to Harvard? What was something that maybe like inspired you to go on that path?
There's a lot of steps in between, obviously, right? So the quick gist of it is my parents emigrated to Canada from India in the 1980s. They were unable to afford to take care of a child as new immigrants back in the 80s. And so they actually sent me to live with my grandmother in India until the age of about 5. So I actually did not meet my parents till I was like 5 years old, which was kind of a traumatic experience at that time. But at age 5, finally, they were a little bit more settled 5 years in. Kindergarten was about to start, so they wouldn't have to pay for childcare during the middle of the day. So at that point, they brought me back to Canada. I obviously was oblivious to all of this. Age 5 to 18, I spent my childhood years in Canada, and I knew coming out of high school that I really wanted to go to a good school and study something quantitative. I had an opportunity to go to Dartmouth, studied math, physics. And then from that, a couple of years in finance. And then after a couple of years in finance, I realized I had some things that I was really good at, but I wanted exposure to a broader array of kind of business skills. And obviously business school that's what business school is there for. So that's how I ended up at HBS.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm originally from Massachusetts. So my dad loved college, and he actually ended up in an Ivy school, but it was just so cool to see, especially Massachusetts, because we have some of the best colleges, and to see just I don't know, it was just so inspiring to grow up watching my dad going to, his going to UMass and then getting into Ivy League and kind of seeing that journey, because I feel like every little stepping stone was like it brought him closer to his passion, which is really cool to see as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's my delivery. I'm going to pause 1 second. So sorry, Nick. Just bear with me 1 minute.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your patience, Nick.
Oh, good. No worries.
I knew that was going to happen. I've been waiting for this package to arrive all day, and they came right when I'm on a live stream. But that happens. That's life. So anyhow, so tell me a little bit, what do you see? So when you work with a client, the first step is probably you kind of evaluate where they're at. Can you tell me about kind of the first process when you have a new client?
Sure, that's literally it, right? A large part of what so the way our process typically works is firstly a client has to realize they have a need, right? A need to become more innovative and more agile. Our first step is figuring out, okay, where where specifically do they want to become more innovative? Is it in their IT department, their HR department? Is it at a product level? Where are they? Where do they see the problem, and where are they willing to invest behind solving the problem, their innovation challenges? Secondly, we think about how our software can fit into their broader innovation journey, right? Our software is very good at some parts of the innovation journey, and there's other parts that they have to solve themselves or use other resources. For example, a good innovation process, I always say, needs a few things. Number one, it needs the right people. Number two, it needs the right resources. And number three, it needs the right technology and processes. And we're really focused on that third lever. But an organization that also doesn't have those first two levers is unlikely to be as successful, or if successful at all.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I work a lot in automation. And one of the things that I've noticed, like you can automate a business front and back, right? But it's not really going to be successful without, like you said, without people, without, having the right processes, the right SOPs, and all these things that kind of, it's like its own business ecosystem, right? All these things, they kind of work together. And if you don't have one, or one isn't as strong or on the same alignment, the same goals, like I know I have a lot of clients that are like, we want to change this automation. Well, if you don't change your SOPs and you don't change your emails and you're not telling your staff, your ecosystem breaks down. And it's like, I feel like I always picture this big umbrella of just like trouble and messes raining down on me whenever I hear, I want to change an automation. I'm like, no. So I
We
love
we
that. So
internally love changing our automations, but it's done carefully with the understanding that there will always be something that breaks when you change an automation or a procedure for our internal operations. I mean,
oh, 100%. I always tell everyone, I'm like, whenever I'm doing automation, I was like, I need silence, I need quiet. We can't have any distractions. We can't have any dogs barking, as you can probably hear mine in the background. Um,
all good.
and yeah, because everything can break down at a click of a button. So tell me, what is your next process? So you evaluate, you try to see how you can use the different processes, and you can use software. What's the next thing that you do once you've developed these things?
Okay, so then we actually implement our software within the customer, right? At the point at which you've identified the need and how they want or the problem they're trying to solve, we help them implement the software, which is getting the system, our software system set up within their for that customer, giving everyone access. Our software is a very social software, so the whole way it works is it's not like Excel where you just kind of work by yourself. It is, it's more like Facebook or Reddit, where you need lots of people contributing, or TikTok, or pick your social platform. Um, it requires lots of people contributing their ideas into how their organization can be better, and other people upvoting and downvoting ideas. And that's only possible if you have a critical mass of participants. So we really help them launch a campaign and get lots of people involved in solving the right problems for that organization.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, and that definitely sounds like it's something that can really help develop businesses, and like you said, kind of streamline and help scale them quicker. What is one of the things that you see your clients struggling with the most when you're in the valuation stage?
Sure. So if you I think the biggest challenge is a change in humility that is required. So when you implement software like ours, crowdsourcing software or innovation management software, you're going to see two things happen quickly. Number one is it's going to highlight old things that you were doing wrong, which is hard to admit, right? Hey, that this old way of doing things is wrong. And number two, you're going to see ideas come from really unique places that and sometimes really junior people or people who may not have expertise. And you as a senior person have to have the humility to say, hey, I may not have been the smartest person in the room on this topic. Some junior person sitting in a different country or or some regional office instead of HQ, he or she may have a much brighter idea than me to solve the problems we are. And you have to accept that. Sometimes being senior doesn't mean you have the best ideas. And that is certainly some organizations that handle that with a lot of grace, and others really struggle because if you have the corner office, you are supposed to be the smartest person in the room.
Oh, interesting. I love that. What is Okay, so now you're doing IdeaScale. What's your future? What do you see you guys kind of going? Are you focusing on growing this? Are you looking into invest in businesses? Where do you see Nick going?
Sure. So IdeaScale is I'm not the owner of IdeaScale. We're owned by a group of a entrepreneur who helped build the business. My obligation to him and to the business is I'm really excited about what IdeaScale does, and we're really trying to grow this business and make it bigger. So this year was the first year that we really expanded internationally. We went from really being in 2 or 3 countries, or maybe 2 countries, to now being in 7 with potentially we're targeting customers in I think 40 or 50 countries at this point, which is a big change versus last December when we were targeting people in 3 countries in one language, English. Today now we're offering in Spanish and Portuguese and French and German and Japanese. So that's number one, expanding internationally. Number two is expanding the parts of the problem we solve. As I mentioned, there's many parts of a customer's innovation problem, and we've done a really good job at solving the idea management and ideation part of the process. But there's other parts of the process that our software doesn't do well. So in the near future, we're actually launching entirely standalone modules that will allow you to solve other parts of the problem. So an example of this is about 4 or 5 months ago, we launched something called whiteboarding, which allows you to do really unstructured thinking with a bunch of people with doodles, graphics, rather than having to formulate written statements about what your problem or solution is. And then there's some really cool AI-based stuff coming out over the next few months as well that'll help you analyze the information that you have much more effectively than I think is possible with traditional analysis methods.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so I've seen a lot of things happen with AI, and I see how it's changing businesses. And do you feel like it's like changing IdeaScale and the other ventures that you're doing?
Sure. So I'll answer in 2 ways. Number one, did it change the way we internally run the business? Absolutely. We were massive adopters across sales, across marketing, across software engineering within months of generative AI coming out. So like a year and a half ago now, we saw the potential, saying like this can revolutionize how efficiently we operate inside, like how well we do marketing, how well we do SEO, how well we write code, how well we communicate internally, how I write emails standing my team, right? That happened almost immediately, and we were really aggressive about adopting AI for our internal operations. In terms of how it's affected our business, it's a little bit more nuanced. So I think a lot of software, everyone in the world has just started saying, hey, we use AI, and they've just thrown AI as a marketing tagline without being thoughtful about how AI is actually useful to their business. So far, we launched, I think, 2 small AI features. We intentionally made them very, very small. One helped you just write better. So imagine your English is not your native language, or you're not good at articulating your ideas. And that's really important. A lot of people get stage fright when it comes to writing or presenting an idea. And so our AI tool that we released last year helped somebody who's not as confident to write or communicate their ideas more effectively. And then we had some other tools that realized, hey, these ideas can be linked together in clusters and can form like a super idea because they're all related to one another. We intentionally were a lot more careful about not just throwing AI into the mix of our software, because we didn't want to be a marketing-led company. We wanted to be a product-led company. So AI will continue to influence both us and software companies more broadly, but I think some companies have done it just for the marketing pizzazz, and others have been much more thoughtful about incorporating AI into their software. And I'd like to think we're in the latter group.
Yeah, I definitely think that businesses that aren't utilizing AI, they're definitely missing out. There's definitely, and sometimes, like you said, maybe they're using it in the wrong way or they're overutilizing it, because you still need, in some cases, you do still need the human capabilities as well to double check it, right? So I love that you guys are utilizing it within your software, because it's definitely such a game changer. I feel like we've done chatbots like on websites where it'll answer all the questions that a customer is coming. But then other times we've used it like for social media, and we've had to like double check it because either maybe something didn't line up with the values or the tone wasn't correct. And so it's definitely something that I love to utilize in business. I think it's amazing, especially help generating ideas. But I do feel like we still kind of need the human aspect to double check it, make sure that we're on point and on brand. So I love that you're using that. That's awesome. Perfect. All right. So can you tell us more about where we can find you and your services?
Sure. So if you want to learn more about the company, our website is ideascale.com. If you work for a small organization, less than 100 people, our software is entirely free for you forever. So you can just sign up for a free IdeaScale subscription, free forever if you're with a small organization. If you want, if you want to reach me personally, the best ways to do so are either via LinkedIn. My name is Nick Jain. Very easy to find. Usually the first search that comes up on LinkedIn. I respond to 100% of messages. Or alternatively, you can email me at nick.jane@ideascale.com.
Awesome. I'll make sure I put those in the show notes as well. But thank you so much for coming on, Nick. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much for having me, Natalie. It's been a pleasure as well.
Awesome. Well, we'll talk to you guys next time on the Virtual Antics podcast.